Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review The Neighbor. We all have our secrets.
From the team that brought us The Collector and The Collection, Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan are back with another pseudo-home invasion style film that stars Josh Stewart, Alex Essoe, and Bill Engvall. This film is about a couple who live next door to a guy who looks pretty suspicious. Alex Essoe, our main female lead, is always looking out the window with her telescope, and she ends up seeing something that she shouldn't have. And this couple realizes that the neighbor actually has some dark secrets that he's trying to keep hidden. So what do we like?
This was a great story, in the sense that they built suspense. There was tension throughout this film and just moments where you're on the edge of your seat. You're getting these characters who are playing a cat and mouse game, and the idea of the dark secrets that your neighbor may have, and the fact that both neighbors know each other's secrets, and that's what makes for good suspense. You don't know who's gonna make the first move, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it kind of plays out similar to a Fright Night. You know, you're spying on your neighbor, you see something bad, you go to investigate, and bad shit happens. That's pretty much what happens here.
As expected from the people who brought us The Collector and The Collection, the way that this story arc worked was excellent because we see like one part of the movie as it's building up, and right when you think like, how's he gonna get through this? It just flips the script. And I think at the one point in the movie where our main character, John, is faced with a serious decision and he's forced to just like rethink, changes the whole atmosphere in the movie, and I thought that was brilliant.
And much like The Collector, we also kind of have the same sense of the house in this. You start to get like the floor plan down, you know, all the different rooms, all of the hallways, and the characters within the house have their own motives and they're kind of like moving in tandem trying to avoid each other, and it's great. And as the audience, you kind of know what's going to happen based on your knowledge of the house. I also really like the performances. I think Josh Stewart did a great job as the male lead. He was kind of like a backwoodsy type guy, and he really sold it well. Alex Essoe, we've seen her in Starry Eyes. She's brilliant. Once again, she showed how good she can portray different emotions throughout the film. And of course, the neighbor, Bill Engvall. He reminds me of a creepier version of Mick Taylor from Wolf Creek.
I'm Rosie.
We don't get too many women good looking as you around these parts.
We didn't have a big cast, so there wasn't a lot to play with in the sense of different characters, but the ones that we had were very well developed.
As we touched on, the tension in this movie was excellent, and I think to really help sell that was the music. All of the score had kind of like a grindhouse feel. This is a weird comparison, but very similar to a Serbian film almost, with really like deep bass, grungy tones.
Please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up.
And it just really helped get the whole mood and atmosphere across, depending on the situation. And to help with this grindhouse feel, we had some like 8mm footage, kind of like transition shots when it went from one scene to another. It was a little off at times, but you know, it suited the kind of style and the upbeat nature of what I thought was going to be a slow-paced thriller.
On top of our sound bed, we had amazing cinematography. The way they guide you through the house, the different shots that they use, the different camera angles, it makes you feel as though you're there. And I think they did a great job just showcasing what different rooms are there and what the environment really was.
Now, what didn't we like? I touched on this a minute ago, but the grindhouse transitions, I don't think really worked all the time. For the intro sequence, okay. But throughout the film, there were like 5-second scenes that just felt out of place. And I don't think it really added to the film in any way.
Despite this film having a great story, there are a few issues that I have with the characters' motives, because we're introduced to a few twists and a few minor characters that appear, but they don't explain really why they're doing what they're doing, and it's odd.
Without spoiling anything, this kind of led to like a minor dislike as well. The ending could have been better. They didn't tighten up everything that you probably want to know, And unless they plan on having a sequel, I don't know why they would have left things undone like they did. It's not to say that it didn't end well, it just, there were storylines that they should have addressed. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. I thought The Neighbor was a great thriller. We had enjoyable characters that were well developed, we had a really solid story, and we had top-notch production value. The cinematography and the sound design really amplified the tension, and it created this whole atmosphere that would make anyone uneasy if they were in these situations. I do think that the ending could have been tightened up a little bit, and we could have learned some more motives for some characters that we were introduced to, but other than that, this is a great film and I highly recommend it. So I'm gonna give this 4 holes filled with a bunch of dead-skinned rabbits out of 5.
This film definitely has a lot going for it. Beautiful cinematography, great soundtrack, and interesting characters. And what ties it all together is the story. This film has a very unique story in the sense of a cat and mouse game. You have situations that you're put in that you really feel for the characters and you're really rooting for them to succeed. The only downside I have is the fact that the motives and plots weren't really all there, so it kind of left you questioning what the purpose was and why they're even involved in this movie. Because without them, it wouldn't change anything, and with them, it didn't add anything. But it doesn't take away for what this film is, and it's awesome. And with that being said, I'm gonna give this 4 papier-mâché masks out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.